Begin the meeting with a call to the public. Anybody interested in addressing this? Thank you. And we go on then to the community development monthly reports. Your Preston.
Well, that was quick.
Okay, monthly reports are before you. Zoning permits 13. Zoning permits 13, building permits 11. Not bad for during the winter even. That used to be a June month for us back in 08 and 09. 24 zoning enforcement violations. Those will kind of slow down for the next month. Dave Schrinka is taking a vacation of a lifetime for a month down, well, south and down in Florida. So our code enforcement is going to fall just a little bit for that time being, and we'll pick up on that. The other sheet I provided you was the year end of the building department. Our budget last year for the building department, this doesn't include the planning and zoning side, but just the building department staff, which is the building official, Ruth Edmeyer that sits up front, and the trade officials. Our budget for last year was $150,750. We are in the black well, our expenditures did not exceed our budget, but also we had an increase in revenues of approximately $46,000. So we will be adding to the fund balance in the building department. Our expenditures also include taking the department to full-time, which has not been done since back in 08. So that's a big benefit there, and we've added additional staff through my company to support that function at a part-time basis. So we may need to look at that in the future as we continue to have this kind of growth. So it's a good thing. It did, like I've said many times, it did knock us on the chin this year as to how much growth we saw. We saw at least 3 times the amount of new builds that we've seen in the past years.
No questions for?
I'll just, Pete and I do a lot of talking together. Maybe you noticed a letter from Woodhull Township in your mail or email. It came from the planning and their chairman and everything, and they're asking about basically why Pete Putman's position wasn't up for bid every year and so on and so forth. Well, I couldn't quite remember everything, but I did the research, and Julie Hebert was a big help in my research. But anyway, what it amounts to is that Pete came on board in like 2007 when we were starting the huge downturn. At that time, our county administrator instead of went to a contractual relationship with that department. And basically that's how Pete has risen to where he is today. In 2009, his bid for services was $46 an hour for services. That's like zoning service. I mean,
Just in-office type stuff.
right. And then it was $65 an hour for planning and zoning services.
Development review, site plans, special use permits.
That's how I did explain it. Now, saying that, gee, that's, now he has maintained that rate all the way through to the present day, except that now we've had Linda Cordier retired. He indicated he could take those services over, and we did agree to all that. And those services for what she did and combining with what he has is $7,700 a month. When we went back and looked at from 09 to the present, the way we went through under contractual arrangements with Pete Preston Services, like that one, right? Preston Services.
Preston Community Services.
Oh, yeah, okay. Anyway, I suppose. We've saved approximately $275,000 to $300,000 over that time in wages, but we've also saved substantial sums in insurances and legacy costs, because we do, it's a contractual arrangement. Now, if you want to go back to 2007, when we had several people on staff to do trades, to paying them in that department and everything. If we'd have maintained that department from 2007 till today, just like that, we would have spent more than $1 million over and above what we've spent. So, if there's been some real big savings, and I explained to Woodhull Township, this is a contractual arrangement, and I read in that contractual arrangement, this is almost a day-to-day contractual arrangement. For any reason, either party can sever that contract. And after I explained why we do it the way we do it, the Woodhull Township Board was more than agreeable with what we're doing, and actually was thinking, well, gee, they did something pretty good several years ago and have maintained it. There was no one there that I knew of from planning, even though they knew I was coming. So anyway, I'd like to respond that also there's another thing that we've been working on. Again in Woodhull Township, it just so happens something's happening in Woodhull Township. There's been an individual who's purchasing some property. He's housing 28 dogs, doesn't have a kennel or a kennel's license, and he brought us a plan, but the plan was very deficient. He was told the plan has to be brought up to codes, your state codes, county codes. We're going through the process as quick as possible. There are a lot of individuals that live on that road where they want to put that dog kennel that the dogs bark all the time. There's 28 of them in 2 little pens. So, I was told 28. I don't know, maybe it's 27. But anyway, we are on that diligently, going through the process, and Matt and everybody in the office have hit their timelines perfectly, and due process, so on and so forth. So he has approximately 2 weeks to revise his plan to meet spec, and the staff has gone over what he has to do. For him to get there, he's going to have a lot to do. So I'll leave it at that. That's one of those, we've had dog kennel problems all through the ages. And so I just want to point out that we're on this, and so on and so forth. Anything to add to that? No? It's in process.
Okay. Anything else? Gary?
Yeah, and this is my 10th year with the county, and I've been here since Pete's been here, and I think he's doing an excellent job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't think I need to say anymore, but
Jeff?
I agree with that, but also with that being said, I've pushed just a little bit on some of these other code violation things, and I know Dave's going to be gone. That's going to put a crimp on what we can get done, but I would just like to stress that I'd like to, if we can give you any other resources or whatever we can do to try to get all these code enforcement violations caught up before the busy time of year. I think that'd be a good thing for the county. In fact, in point of fact, the one next door to me that we're still having issues with, and just hopefully we got time this winter when it is a little bit slower to get all these things caught up.
Last year, as far as revenue is concerned, and what we've been able to do with efficiencies and staff, it was a game changer. And we do need to look at more of how we're going to go forward rather than how we're going to hold on to our pants, because things are going bad, or we're not getting the revenue in, or in hard times it's always difficult to enforce the ordinance on somebody. We don't want to be seen as overstepping their bounds, but there's also neighbors involved when we have those. So that is definitely something, at the whirlwind of last year, we need to look at right now, while it's in the winter, how we're going to move forward. Right now, we've changed everything to contractual staff, but now we need to look at the staff members. What's best? Do we need a stronger enforcement arm rather than building inspections? Because when people are building, they're usually happy as long as everybody's meeting code. We're moving along. But there are some things that I can see inside the office to take some of the administrative duties off of the building official and the code official and get them on the road more. Yes, it has to be talked about, and we do need to move forward. say we're living in a lap of luxury, but we do have a little buffer that we haven't had in previous years.
And I don't necessarily want to be known as a hard nose, but there's code violations going on that aren't fair to the rest of the county. And we just, to some extent, we have to do enforcement.
So we're affecting our property values that way. We're affecting people wanting to build in the county if we just let these violations persist. It's all connected and understood.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pete.
Thank you.
There's nothing else for Pete. Thank you very much, Pete. Go on to the discussion item, appointments to the following board and committees, which is a solid waste management committee.
I'll make the motion that we reappoint Gary Burke to he's the waste generator representative. And we know that Dean Thatcher, I believe he did not want to be reappointed because of the environmental interest. And Melissa Higbee, who is from Conservation District, is very interested in filling that slot. Gary Vendel, he retired this year to the city of Langsburg as their DPW manager. And so that's why there's probably no spot. He retired. But it has to be someone from city government. So we didn't have a letter from anybody in the city government that was interested. The other two did send in their letters. Yes.
Oh, Pete.
Thank you.
I spoke with Rob Frank over the holidays. Rob Frank took over Gary Vendel's duties down at DPW with the city of Langsburg. He is verbally interested in serving on the solid waste committee and just hasn't put in his letter yet. But it'd essentially be a 1-for-1, and that leaves Gary Vendel open if there's any public type of seats on there. But Rob Frank from City of Langsburg is interested, and I'll get on him to get his letter in.
That'd be a very good choice.
Yeah.
I know my district, I know him.
I'd make the motion that we would fill the 3 slots with those 3 individuals. And I put a stipend on that and have Mr. Frank get his letter in before Wednesday.
So are you revamping your previous motion then?
Yes, I guess.
Okay, what is the third individual's name?
Rob Frank, he's the DPW manager for the city of Langsburg. He would be taking Gary Vendel's spot. Gary retired.
And I'll support that. Okay, any further discussion on this matter? We move that ahead to the committee of the whole with a vote. Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Any other agenda items? Hearing none, we'll move on to the second call of the public. Hearing none,